Hey TAK fans, in this TAK Syndicate video, we'll be going over the Data Sync plugin for ATAK. The plugin is available on tak.gov or the Play Store. This plugin will work with the tak.gov TAK server, free TAK server, and Parse SIDX server. The purpose of Data Sync is to keep certain data elements of your choosing in a silo, which we call feeds. You may also hear them called missions because that is what they're called when they are created and looked at from the server admin portal. So these missions or feeds allow users to join and participate by adding data or just viewing them depending on how you set them up. I'll be using a regular TAK server from tak.gov for this video and showing creating a feed in ATAK. I will also show how you edit a mission from the TAK server web admin portal. Okay, let's get started. I have 3 ATAK devices logged into a TAK server with call signs Team A, Team B, and Team C. Now let's zero in on the Team A device to get a closer look at the Data Sync plugin. The first thing I want to show is where the manual is. I will cover most of the manual in this video, but there are some other little things like how to use a geofence to auto-enroll ATAK users into a feed when they enter that geofence, and some other not-so-common stuff. It is always good to read the manual. I know we don't ever like to do it though. So to get to the manual, go to Settings, go to Tool Preferences, Specific Tool Preferences, and go down to Data Sync Preferences. Scroll down to the bottom and go to Plugin Documentation. Choose how you want to view it. And here is the ATAK Data Sync User Guide, and goes over a lot of detail on the plugin. All right, let's go back to ATAK. All right, now let's dive into the plugin. From Team A device, I'm going to open the Data Sync plugin. Notice when I first open the plugin, there are not any feeds listed. It's just showing the TAK server that I'm connected to, called SSD TAK. The options you have from left to right are the concentric arrows, that is for refreshing the feed list. The plus button is for creating a new feed. Then the next icon that looks like a linear line is the timeline view. Then the trash can lets you clear local feed data. And then the stoplight option filters the feeds by status, so which feeds are active will be on top. This is only used when you have multiple Data Sync feeds. If I click on that icon, it switches to filter the feeds by update time. You can see I have the little clock icon. Click it again, it's going to filter the feeds alphabetically, and then it's going to go back to this feed status. We'll add some feeds in here, and we'll do this a little later so you can see what it looks like as we filter through the feeds. The last option is the search, and you can search by name or you can search by hashtag. All right, I'm going to start a new feed. To do that, I'm going to hit the plus button. Now you get 2 options here. On the right, you have this add from QR code. That's used if someone else has a feed going on their device and they want to invite you to it. They have the option to share a QR code and you could scan it and you'll automatically join that feed. But I'm creating a new feed, so I'm going to click the button on the left. And here you have some mandatory and optional fields. From the top, you do need to name the feed. We're going to call this Wildfire. I've named it. Now you do have an option on the server. If you're connected to multiple servers, you would click this and you would choose what server you want to add the feed to. You also have the ability, if you're connected to multiple channels on that server, to click the channel. I've just connected to the public channel, but if you had other channels available, you could click them. And then we're going to choose the option, the default role. So anybody that's joining this mission, what their role would be. So you can click read only. So anybody that joins the mission this way, they can't contribute to the mission, they can only read it. Subscriber allows them to read and write, and then owner would be read, write, and then also being able to kill the mission off the server. We're just going to choose subscriber. And anybody who makes the mission, like from this device here, A, has the ability to kill the mission off the server. So just because you're choosing subscriber here doesn't absolve you from killing the mission altogether. And then again, we'll show you how to do it from the server side as well. You can put in a feed password, a description if you'd like. I'm going to leave that off. You can enter in an XMPP conference room if you have it. I do not. And then you can add hashtags to allow you to find the mission from in the search tool. I'm going to leave that off. All right, so we've got this wildfire feed created on this TAK server. I'm going to hit done. And now you can see the mission or the feed. All right, we've got this mission created. You can see the green dot there with the blue concentric circles. And now I'm going to start collecting some data and sending it to this mission. There's a couple ways you can do that. We're just going to do it for the map to start. So I'll back out of here. And we're going to say this is the wildfire. And we have a wildfire in the foothills here. So I want to add where the incident command post is going to be. So I'm going to use the GeoOps. I'm going to go to find incident command post. And let's just say it's going to be right here at this cul-de-sac. And I'm going to edit it, incident command post. And then I'm going to choose send. Now, if you're familiar with ATAK, you can send to different groups, teams. Right now, I'm going to choose a couple ways. I can hit feeds and it will find the wildfire feed. I can go back, or you can see that wildfire is a selection here. I can hit send there. And now that is on the list here showing that Team A added the incident command post. And now I can go add some other data if I have a staging area that I want to add. Let's put them over here. Staging area is going to be at the middle school. Hit send, and I can send it to the feed. And now you can see I've got this other data element added to the feed. All right, now I'm going to add some other data elements to the map. Let's put the general area where the fire is. Put it out in this field. And I'm not going to send that directly to the feed right now. I want to do a bulk add, and I'll show you how to do that in a minute. And let's add maybe a water source. Maybe we'll just make one up here. Let's just say there's a good water source right here. All right, so now I have those two data elements that I've added to the map, but they're not in the feed. If I go back to data sync here, you can see that we just have the original staging area and incident command post. If I want to add those other two data elements, sure, I could have clicked on them and hit send to the mission, but now we're going to do a bulk add. I'm going to hit the plus button, and this gives me all these options to add data to the feed. Right now I'm going to use the lasso tool. And we'll go through all these later in the video, but let's just do lasso select. And now I'm just going to circle that. It's got these two markers here. I can click down, it'll show the two markers. I'm going to hit select. And now those two data elements you can see are added to the feed. Now let's bring on some other users to the incident. And that's the great thing about the data sync tool, is that now you've started this feed, you've added data elements, and now other team members that are coming to this incident can be made aware that there is a data sync feed. They can join it, and then they can start getting caught up on all this stuff. Without data sync, you have to send to each individual member as they join. You can use the broadcast tool, depending on what server you're on, has some store and forward like SIDX. But the data sync does keep it a little bit cleaner, because if you are attached to multiple ATAK servers and you use broadcast, you're spamming other people's map. With data sync, you can keep everything kind of compartmentalized or siloed, and people can join that specific mission and get the exact data they need. All right, so we'll expand this and we'll bring the other two users on. All right, now we've got Team B member and Team C member up on the screen here. And Team B member is going to be assigned to the incident and join the data sync mission. The way I see it is data sync missions are much like a comms channel. You get a comm channel for a tactical frequency. Data sync missions or data sync feeds are really no different. You find out what channel you need to be on and hop on it. So I'm going to go to data sync, and I can see that, hey, there's this wildfire mission here or feed that I'm not a part of. I can click on it, and I'm going to choose download and sync. And now I am synced to the mission, and you can see that all of the data came with it, and all these points, these map elements, are automatically synced to this device. And now Team B member can choose to add stuff to the map. So if Team B member comes up and is over at, say, this structure here and wants to drop a marker, they've dropped a marker to let people know that these people have evacuated. And then they can add that to the feed. And now you can see that Team A got updated with that information. If I scroll up on Team A, you can see that icon is there. All right, now team member C is at the incident and needs to get synced up. Team member C goes to data sync, sees the mission, chooses to download and sync. And as we saw with team member B, this takes a second for everything to sync up. And there we go. If you're not seeing it working, you can go to this allow full sync and re-download it, but it just takes a few seconds. And now you can see everything that team member A and B had added to the mission or the feed. And now this team member can also add data to the map. We'll say this team member went out and actually kind of surveyed the fire scene and kind of drew where the fire was at. So they're going to use their drawing tools. And they're going to say the fire had burned all through here. They're going to edit this, change the color, change the line thickness and opacity, name it. And now they've got this shape here. And then they can choose to send this directly to the mission. And now you can see on the other devices that it automatically showed up. So now let's do some resyncing. In this scenario, team member C is going to lose connectivity. But while team member C has lost connectivity, they're going to be adding data to the feed. And while team member C is disconnected or loses connectivity, team member A and B will be adding data. And what we'll see at the end is when team member C gets connectivity again, all this stuff will go back and forth. The data that team member B and A had contributed to the feed will get downloaded onto Team C's device, and then the data that Team C had been collecting while they were disconnected will get synced up and land on Team A and Team B's device. So let's do that now. I'll take team member C and I'm going to put them in airplane mode. And now you'll see that the mission is red, meaning they're not synced anymore to the mission. And let's go ahead and add some data. Let's put a spot fire. So we've got this spot fire here. And we're going to send that to the mission. And notice that the other two devices that are still connected, they do not see that spot fire on their map yet. Now let's take some data from Team B. And Team B is going to add a marker, some sort of hazard. I'm going to add, this is a propane tank. And they're going to send that to the mission. And now you can see that Team A got that data, the propane tank. And we'll have Team A add a bit of data. We're going to put in a helispot over here. So I'm going to put helibase in, and we'll add that to the mission. And now you can see Team B and Team A are completely synced up. All right, now let's bring connectivity back to Team C. And we'll watch as everything syncs back up. And there you have it. It took about 30 seconds after they got reconnected to the ATAK server for everything to sync back up. But now everybody has the same data, even though there was a period of time where where Team C was disconnected from the event and was adding data, and then the other team members that were connected were adding data as well. So you can also move data on the map, and it will resync across all different subscribers that are on the feed. So let's take an example here. I'll use the Team A device, and we've decided that we need to move this incident command post, and we're going to take it down to this middle school down here. So I can just take the incident command post and drag it to its new location. And then it's going to ask me, hey, would you like to publish the following content to this feed? Hey, that you've basically said that you've moved it. Do you want to republish this? And I said, yes, okay. And now you can see on these other devices that the incident command post has now moved. So you don't have to put a new incident command post, delete the old one, so on and so forth. You just drag it or move it to where you want it, and it'll resync. So if you put something in the wrong spot, that's not a big deal. You can move it, and then everybody will get synced back up. And the same goes for if you drop something and you've published it that you want to delete. Maybe it's no longer relevant. Let's say this propane tank here is a mitigated hazard, and you delete it. I can hit the trash can, and I'll hit yes, remove it, and say, hey, is it asking you, do you want to remove it from the feeds? Yes, I want to remove it from the feed. And you can see that the other devices, it will remove the propane tank from their devices as well. and now it's gone. Now let's say, hey, that was a mistake. Team B member is like, nope, that actually needs to remain. There was some confusion. Then you can actually click on it and choose to download it again, and then you can choose to push it back to the feed and make sure that everybody has it. And this keeps a log here of everything that's been done, who removed it, who added it, so on and so forth. So just because you've deleted it doesn't mean that it's gone forever, and just because you put something on the map and published it doesn't mean it has to be in the feed forever. Now let's take a deeper dive into the feed itself, and I'll be using the Team A device to really get a look inside of DataSync. So we're in this view, it's called the dashboard view. You can see that it categorizes the data by map items, photos, and files. If I click on map items, it gives me a list of all the items. If I click on any one of those, ATAK will center the map on that item. So if I click on incident command post, it's going to move ATAK over to that incident command post. Again, scroll back out of map items and go back to the main dashboard view. If there was photos, if I clicked on photos, it will list all the photos and then any files as well. Next, I'm going to click on the plus button to show all the different options to add data to the DataSync mission or feed. If I click on plus, you can see that I can use map select, overlays, file select, user log, gallery, video alias, geofence, invite, and lasso. We already covered the lasso, so let's do map select. So what I'll do is I'm going to put an element that's not in the feed on the map. Let's go back to markers, and we'll say that over here at the park is going to be an evacuation area. And now you can see that this is not part of the mission yet, but if I hit the plus sign and use map select, I can actually just click on that element and hit done, and now then that will be added to the mission. Next, let's go to the other options. If I choose overlays, I can actually go to the overlay menu and find items to add to the DataSync mission. So I could go into markers and see different markers, and I could choose it that way. So this gives you the option to add things by the overlay manager. Let's go back in here and we'll look at file select. This allows you to browse the actual file structure of the device. A user log allows you to create a user log and add it to a map element. So if I wanted to put the name of the person that, say, was at that evacuation center, if I wanted to call that was the Hunter family, and that's who was evacuated there, I can hit map select, I can go back, and that's going to add that anything I want to enter in here. I can take a picture, and now that's a user log in this DataSync feed. So it's tied to that map marker. The gallery, if I had photos, I could add those. Video aliases aren't used a whole lot in DataSync missions, but if I had a series of cameras I wanted to add, I could add those to the mission so everyone would see them. I can add a geofence. Now this isn't something I'm going to show off in here, but you can create a geofence in ATAK and then add that into the mission. And what that will do is if anybody crosses that geofence, it will automatically add them to the mission. And then the last thing is inviting people to the mission. So I can add different people to the mission. And then we already saw lasso select, using the lasso select tool to add data to the mission. And you'll hear me use mission and feed quite frequently. It is common across the ATAK world. They used to be called missions before feeds, and on the ATAK server side we call it missions. So I apologize for the confusion, but mission and feed are interchangeable. All right, now we're going to get into looking at the timeline view, which is the next button over from the plus marker, is this timeline view. It will give you the option to look at all data elements together. If you have multiple missions, you can notice now on my device I've added another mission called flooding. I'm not subscribed to it right now. It's gray. It's been up for 1 minute and 15 seconds. If I go one more over from timeline, there's the trash can, and from there, the next one looks like a stoplight. That is the kind of the filter view. And what that allows you to do is filter these by what are the active data sync feeds. So right now the active ones are on top, those are green, and then the gray one below is not active. If I click again, it will do it by time. Now you notice that the wildfire dropped to the bottom because it has an older time than the flooding. The flooding is a newer data sync feed. And then it will do it by alphabetical, puts flooding at the top, and then goes back. So now we're going to go to this timeline view. And the reason I added that other mission is I wanted to show you that you have this same capability here as filtering them. Up top, you have this ATAK timeline. And if I click on all here on the left, you notice I have and then to the right of it is these missions, the wildfire and flooding. I have this same toggle switch here with these green, yellow, and red circles. It looks like kind of like a stoplight. So right now it's going left to right. It's saying it's going to put them in the order of any active mission. If I click it, again, it's by timeline. Flooding was first, or the newest, and then alphabetical, and then I'm not sure what this one is. It's not in the manual. I've yet to see it really change anything. One day I'll find out and share with you all. All right, and then if I click on the button to the right of that, that takes me back to the dashboard view, and then I can go right back to the timeline view. You've got this search item here, and then you've got this kebab menu, or the manual calls the ellipse, but it gives you a bunch more options here that you'll have in other areas. What you'll notice in multiple areas within data sync, you get options for settings, to join feeds, create feeds, the map view. One area in here that's unique to this section is switch orientation, where you can go over to portrait mode from landscape mode. All right, and so right now I've got all selected up top, and it's going to show all the different missions. It would put all the different items. If I switch to flooding, it's just going to show the flooding mission, and I don't have anything in it. And then I can click on the wildfire mission. It's just going to show what's in here. Down below, it'll say how long it's been up, how many items. It shows 11 items, and how much storage is taken. 8 kilobytes of storage. It says who created it, when, and then the address for the ATAK server. All right, to the right of that, you'll see some of the same options we had in the dashboard view. I'll go back to the ellipse view, as you can see, but you adding items. The sync button is a full sync, and that can be useful because in the settings for data sync, you can set parameters of what items you want synced, and a threshold you can put is size. So if you say I don't want anything to be automatically downloaded onto my device if it's over 5 megabytes, then you'll get a warning saying, hey, something's been posted to the mission. You'll get like a how many items are like that, say it's like 2 of them, and then you can choose to say, okay, I've got good network, I'll try to sync them up. So that's the reason why you might have this sync button. And then you have this edit here, and this allows you to go in to unsubscribe, to turn off notifications. If you want to share this mission with someone with a QR code, you can do it there. You can go in here and get to the settings for the server. This is all the stuff I was talking about before with setting thresholds, auto download updates, things like that. So if you're on a very fragile network and people might not know that, understand that, and try to send you these, super high videos and stuff, this is where you can say, hey, if it meets a certain threshold, I don't want it to automatically download. I just want to get notified, and then I'll have the option to download it. Let's go back to the edit. One more thing that's down here that's important is you can do this auto publish new content to the feed. So be careful with that. We'll do it real quick, but remember, that's every time you add something to the map, it's going to publish it to the feed. So you might, spam other people. You might forget to turn it off, but we'll do it right now. We can go back to the map, and we'll turn on data sync here. We'll go back to into the mission, and then I'll just add an item here. And it's going to say, hey, would you like to publish this to the feed? So it does give you a warning, a pop-up, but you don't have to do anything extra. And now if I go back to the mission, you can see that it's been added. And then you can go back to the settings and then turn that off as well. So it can be a little bit of a time saver with auto-publishing to the feed. Let's go back over here. And let's look at users. This does show all the team members that are in the mission right now and what their role is. They're all, Team A is the owner. I made it on this device, and then Team B and Team C added, and we set that as subscribers. I can remove them if I would like, and I can change their role as well. And I can choose to invite others from here. And then there is the trash can to delete. So you can choose to unsubscribe if you'd like, delete local content, and since I made this, I can delete it from the server. And to do that, I would have to toggle both of these over and then hit confirm. But I'm not going to do that right now. I'm going to hit cancel. All right, so now let's scroll down to some of these elements. You get this kebab menu next to each one. It does give you more options as well. And you can choose to export that, add a hashtag. Refresh screenshot means if you want to make sure that's got, maybe that's been moved and you want to refresh exactly where it's at. You can save that screenshot. You can view the details and see when it was added. And you can also just filter by more like this. I just want to see map items. And then the other option is, let's get back to data sync here, is contact the author. But since I made that, it's going to say it's created by this device. So let's find something that was created by someone else. So let's go back to our data sync mission, view. Team C added this, so I can hit contact the author. And then there's the Team C. And if I want to choose to do a geo chat with them, I could turn on geo chat and send them a message. All right, so let's get out of this view and go back to our dashboard view. All right, so we're back at this at the feed list view, and we can get back in our dashboard view here, and you can see, we have all these same sort of options from next to the wildfire mission name, the plus marker, how to get in the timeline, this full sync option, the settings, all the same stuff. and the search icon. So again, a lot of things are duplicated. Some of the things I want to show you at the bottom where it says show non-feed content. So what that means is if I drop some other markers on here, let's go add some different icons here. And I drop this push pin here, and I drop this $, and I go back to data sync. Now since I have not added those to the mission or the feed, I can have the option to toggle those on and off. Kind of a cool feature. So if you've got stuff like that may be spamming the map, hey, I just want to see things that are relevant to this feed, you can turn those on and off. Another option you have right here is a chat. So let me bring up the other users and we'll look at a chat. All right, now we have the other users up, and I'll go into a chat and I will say at staging, hit send. And you can see below at the in the timeline there that Team A added a chat message at staging. And then if Team B adds a chat message, they can say at ICP, at the incident command post. You can see that on device C here that they've got that message. And you can see that the chat message popped up. And then from here, if you notice that there's a chat message that's popped up, you can just click on the chat icon below, and then you immediately get into this chat message. So I can say getting fuel. And if these others aren't in the message, if they don't have the message up, they can see that, well, someone added a message, and if they wanted to talk, they could just hop in here and say, they can just drop a Roger. And this all keeps synced. All right, going back to device A here, the other option here is set visibility. So if you have, you can change, if this is a very long mission, you can set the visibility of items that you want to see. So if it's older stuff that you might not want to see, you can change that visibility here. And the last is just closing out of the data sync, which is that red X. If I look at this list of my data sync missions here, you can see this this number 3 here that is next to this download arrow. If I click on her, it's just saying that you've got 3 map items that you haven't acknowledged yet. You have another option too. If I drop another message in here, another option from this log list here to say mark that you've read it all as well. Another thing I want to show you is visibility from the overlay menu. So let's back out of here, and you can see right now I have the option from my data sync list to turn this eyeball off and hide all items as well. I also have the option from the feed list, and then if I go back one, even from the overlay manager, I have the option to hit this eyeball and turn all these items off. This is just off on your device. This doesn't affect anybody else. So you have multiple ways to just turn off data if it's overwhelming your map and you just want to look at other items. Well, that about covers the main functions in ATAK. Again, please check out the manual that comes with the plugin as it gets into a lot more detail. Now let's hop over to the TAK server admin interface and check out how to manage these feeds, or what TAK server calls missions, from the web. All right, I'm in the metrics dashboard here on this TAK server. And from here, you can get into these missions and delete them or alter them or add missions. So if I click in the hamburger menu up right, and I go into data, and I go into mission manager, this shows all the missions. And so if I scroll to the right here, you can see this wildfire and flooding mission. If I go to open the wildfire mission up, I've got the JSON, raw data, and headers. That's not super useful for us. But if I click on here and I hit edit, this is where you're probably going to do some of the work from the web. You can change the default role here, just like you could in ATAK. You can add groups. So if you have other groups that you want to add, you can add them here as well. You can set an expiration for the mission, and then you could add files or contents. This is all listing these as their COT ID. So that's really the basics from the web GUI. Probably something that happens, or that you might do more of, is deleting the mission. So if I went over here to this flooding mission and I want to delete it, I could delete the mission from the server as well. Well, I hope this video was helpful in learning about the power of data sync. This is available in ATAK, WinTAK, WebTAK, and ITAK. They all have their kind of nuances. I feel that they're most powerful in ATAK and WinTAK. Again, these are available on all flavors of TAK servers: the government off-the-shelf TAK server from tak.gov, free TAK server, and PAR Government's SIDX. Thanks for watching.